string crossings aren't quite as clean as they should be. But
Okay.
I
That
think I was in. I didn't have my tuner going, but I think for the most part, it was in tune. For the most part.
Yeah. So what I noticed that was really good about the recording was definitely intonation was quite good. It stayed good until say halfway through the last time through the B part when it started to wander sharp a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Just
Okay.
the slightest bit, and it's
Yeah.
just what I call the Great Northern Migration,
Yeah,
right?
you've talked about that. Yeah, yeah.
And
So,
it all comes from tension. The tension on the left hand around the neck of the fiddle.
okay. So that's something just to keep in mind, right? Yeah.
It's a relaxing thing.
Yeah.
It's when you tighten around the fiddle as you play, especially when you go from string to string, then it ratchets up the fiddle. So to
Yeah.
keep yourself back in home base and not doing that, you got to try to relax the hand. All right? Because the
Yeah.
tension, the effort is what puts you up there. So if you relax back, then you should stay right where you should be.
And so then next, I'm going to start working on the grace notes on that.
Oh, okay.
Ornamentation, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I thought your intonation was very good. Like I said, it suffered a tiny bit near the end, but that's pretty. That's saying something. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing I thought was good was the sound production is much better. Like. Than the last time I checked in, and I'm loving it. Now you're still playing with how much weight you should put on compared to how fast you're going with the bow. And in my opinion, to give you feedback, I would say not quite enough weight.
Oh, not enough weight. Oh, that's funny. Eh? Okay. Okay.
Now, the normal problem people have, I've seen this kind of progression many times, is not enough, or sorry, too much weight at the beginning, and
Yeah.
everybody's,
Yeah. You're right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then everybody's like, oh God, oh, it sounds horrible. And then when you do learn to back off, you back off too much. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got to kind of find your line there. And I could hear you experimenting with that. Like, one of the things where you experiment with that is on your down bow with a little bit of shudder and bounce that happens on a down bow, right?
Yeah.
Always, it happens to a lot of people. So that's a good place where when you get the speed and the weight right, that's going to go away.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Okay,
Good.
yeah. Now your string crossings were pretty good. The few little squawks you had on the E string were all had to do with just not quite moving, just kind of hanging around, not moving it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was good string changing, but sometimes you lingered, and so it makes this little choky, makes a little squeak.
And that's a lot of those slower tunes are nice tunes for working on all of those things. So not all.
That's why I think it's so good to, especially if it's familiar ones, and certainly
Yeah.
that one seemed like it was familiar to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard that one a while ago and been I found some music for it. So it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. And
Yeah.
Melanie, I got a video from you too, just not long ago, and it was really good. Really
Really?
good. Yes. Yeah. And I can't remember the last time I checked in on your playing, but it's the new virtual life where I don't actually get to hear anybody. I just I'm like a preacher, like I just put out the lessons and hope everybody does a good job. You know what I mean? At least a priest has confession where they can hear when people have screwed up. It's like
Bless me, Father.
that's right. Oh my God. I often tell the story of my first confession, which you do when you're, I don't know, I guess grade 4. I think it's grade 4 where you do your first confession because I was still in Boysdale School, and the only two kids in class were me and Bradley Burke. And church was a big part of our school. We were always at church because everybody was Catholic where I grew up. Everybody was. And so we were always going to church as a school and stuff. So me and Bradley had, at the middle of our day, we went through the little path through the woods to the school and did our first confession. And when you're that age, you don't have very much to confess. You're just kind of like, I lied to my parents, or I was mean to my brother, or something like that, and the priest gives you your penance, and it's usually a few Hail Marys on your knees. That's about it, right? So Bradley goes in, does his thing, and then I went in and I did my thing, and I came out, and Bradley says, "What did you confess?" And I said, well, I said I fought with my brother and I lied to my parents, stuff like that. Not much. And I said, what did you confess? And he said, I have nothing to confess. And I said, wow. I said, you beat the crap out of me every day. And he kicked me in the groin and then just kept walking. So that was my first confession. Anyway, so Melanie, so last time I checked in with you, I'm thinking back to Marie Potterstore's house. All right, because then I can really remember that really clearly. And your sound production has come a long way from that. Do you find that too?
Thank you. Certainly these sessions have helped, so yeah.
That's good, because I could hear your notes clearly. And the melody, the rhythm in the melody was much clearer than before, with the rhythmic, the longs and shorts, all even and nice, much, much better. It's getting really good. Now, to get even better, I would say, always room for improvement. I would say, just like I was saying to Susan there, so start playing around with this kind of how much weight you're putting in. I still find you're putting in a tiny bit too much, digging in a little bit too much. And you can hear it on the turnarounds when you go to turn around your bow. That's where you can hear that. It kind of digs in a bit much, and just a bit. Not too bad, but you could improve on that. Intonation was very good again. And same with you, Susan. I'm so happy about that. The intonation seems to be coming along for a lot of people. I think it's the Zoom thing or whatever, but keep that work going. Now, you wandered around a little bit, it happens. It's, just keep working on those goal notes, because all your D's and all your high A's were really, really nice. Okay? So getting much better. So keep those videos coming there, guys. Pearl, I don't know if you know about this, but we were doing this thing. My YouTube channel is stacked up with videos of familiar tunes, songs, and I think, what do you call it? Fields of Athenry is on there, and I can't remember what else, but they're all Aaron Boat Song, Sky Boat Song. These are very, very familiar, little simple tunes. And what we're doing is we're trying to make, people are trying to make videos for me so I can actually hear you playing. And then we're working on sound production, intonation, basically, and rhythm a little bit for some people, but it's the sound production project. So we're taking these simple tunes that you don't really have to think about and really making them sound as good as possible with the intonation and the sound production. Okay, and for you, I know you've done a lot of work on intonation and sound production already, right? So for you, it would be a chance to try to sound a little bit more Celtic-y. All right, so you're going to try, for instance, you could try to not put any vibrato in until the end of a note, for instance. I was teaching a guy today, Adrian. He's a violinist, he's a professional. He went to U of T and everything. He lives here in the city, and his partner is also a violinist. And he is trying desperately to switch gears and play Celtic jigs and reels. He's from PEI, and he always feels like you didn't really tap in enough, and he's really dying to do it. And this is the first thing we're tackling with this fellow, who is a professional, an actual professional violinist. And he is trying to not do vibrato. And it is not easy. He's having a real hard time with that. Okay? So that would be a challenge for you too, probably.
Could I play one of the songs I played at that camp, like Swallowtail or The Banshee, or one of those?
Absolutely. That would be actually even better than the slow ones for you, because we could work on the rhythmic aspect, the feel aspect. So that'd be great. If I heard one of those tunes, your best go at it with a good jig feel and good no vibrato, that would be really useful.
I also learned how to play Drunken Sailor. It took forever. I had to hear it so many times.
You mean the song?
Yeah, I just listened to the song and then I was like, now how would I play this? And basically makeshifted away, and you can switch it on the strings.
Sure.
doing that for an exercise, and you can like move it up and down on the fingerboard. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe I'll stick that on the YouTube channel too, for people, because it's certainly a familiar one. Everybody knows the Drunken Sailor. Like, I even know a few verses, which is pretty fun. I used to play in a reggae band, and they did a reggae version of the Drunken Sailor. It was a Newfoundland reggae band, you know. There you go. Okay, so how's everybody else? Good. Thanks for the videos, you guys. That was Susan and Mel that sent me videos. So anybody else that wants to, you know, please go ahead. Send me a video of your best playing, and I'll help you. And it'd be great to hear you, for sure. Okay. All right, so has anybody got any insights or experiences or anything like that to impart before we get started there this week? Anything interesting? No, nothing is interesting. No, I agree. I totally agree. So let's get started then. Why don't we do a D major scale in an octave and a half, and then we'll work on a Shogun. All right? I got new strings, and I'm so happy. They're on, and they're working, and they're awesome. And it's made me so happy that I'm going to do another streaming session on Sunday night at 7:30 on my on my Facebook page. I will be streaming some tunes for about an hour and a half with my new strings. I'm going to call it the New Strings Stream. Okay? Okay, here we go. D major in 1.5 octaves. Ready? D. Okay, how's everybody feeling about that? I was thinking another thing for violinists who are trying to switch gears. I don't know if there's any more of you here, but using open strings instead of fourth fingers is a real fiddly thing as well, compared to classical. We never use our fourth fingers. I always say my pinky is only for the high B and decoration. That's it. Because the sound of the open string belts out way more than the fourth finger. The fourth finger has a nice warm sound, but it does not belt out in a room full of people, you know? Let's do it again. Yes, Deborah.
Because in the other class, the other thing, you're teaching us the E major, so now I'm trying to play the fourth finger again because that helps with the E major.
You're using the fourth finger for which note?
Well, I'm doing it on all the scales, but I find it's helpful particularly for the E major because you have to get the 3 and the 4 together.
That's true. Yeah, so, but if you want to practice both, I mean, like, I had a teacher once that had me practice both, and I thought it was just great. Now, he only ever got me to do it on the way down, and I found that it was the most valuable on the way down. It was actually, an endeavor for me to get my fourth fingers more in tune, but it really worked well for hitting the open string too. So when you come down your scale, you play the open string first, and then you play that fourth finger note. So you're playing it twice, basically. You're playing that note twice. And then you can compare your fourth finger note to that open string that you just played. That's the advantage. You've just played it, you know what it sounds like, and now your pinky, your weak-ass pinky, is more likely to get that note on the first try, you know? Because that's the thing about the damn pinky. It's got no strength at all. It's like, you know, to hit notes nicely and on the first try is difficult with the pinky. So it can really help with that. So if you want to do both, then it's the best of both worlds. Anyway, let's do it again. I'll play open strings. So anybody that wants to tune their fourth fingers along with me, this is a good opportunity. Ready, and... Okay, now I remember some people were having a crack at the high D, right? At the end of a Shogun? Okay, so why don't we do a 2-octave D major scale, just in case anybody wants to try to go up there. Now my fiddle's moving a bit. All right, okay, so D major in 2 octaves. Hold on to your hats, and we're going to shift on the A string. Ready, go. Now we'll try the arpeggio in 2 octaves. Ready, go. And how did that go, everybody? Shall we do it again? Let's do that arpeggio once more. Ready, go. How'd we do that time? Better? Good. Very good. Very good. Okay, so let's practice a Shogun a little bit. All right? Nice way to warm up. We'll do it twice. I gotta turn this heater off. Oh, my tuner fell down. Oh, God. Disaster. Oh, whoops, sorry. Okay. Okay. Oh, I gotta record. I gotta make sure I'm recording on QuickTime too. Which I am. That's good. Okay. Okay, recording. All right. So we'll do a Shogun twice with lots of feeling and good intonation. Here we go. Ready and. Again. Ooh, nice endings. I like the flourishes at the ends. It's a good sign. And I will tell you, not to toot my own horn, but that last time my high D was bang on the money. First try, bang on the money. So good. Doesn't happen very often, let me tell you. For me, it's always sharp. That's my problem with high D. It's always sharp, a little tiny bit sharp. But that time was I'm finally starting to get there. Anyway, anybody having any problems or anything like that that they'd like to talk about with the Shogun? I didn't get a chance this week, well, I forgot this week to write out where I'm doing all the double stops, but I'll really try to do that there this week if you wanted to do any of that stuff. But any questions or problems or weird things or anything at all about a Shogun? Nobody? Great, that's awesome. So let's keep that in the back pocket, and when I do write out all the double stops, we'll take it to the next level. Okay. I thought one good thing that would be very good to work on tonight would be rhythm. So I was thinking about the jigs that we just finished doing, which is the Cliffs of Moher and the Mug of Brown Ale. And I wanted to see if we could do maybe some speed trials with that. And what are the reels that we did? We did some reels too. Can somebody remind me the reels?
The Drunken Landlady, I think. It's classified as a reel.
Yes, it is. It is. And what a reel. And what did we do with it? We did the Wise Maid. Yeah. All right. So why don't we take those two sets tonight, and we'll talk about, first of all, rhythm, how you get the right rhythm for a reel and for a jig. We'll start with jigs, okay? And yes, Melanie.
What's happening with that Seamus Conley?
And
Rambler or something like that.
Knopman's Rambles. Yeah, we're going to learn those. But I thought it would be better to kind of work on the rhythmic aspects there tonight, talk about it a little bit. And because the thing is about the jig rhythm, we're going to talk about the jig rhythm first. So once you get that under your arm, even if you've just learned a tune, like you're going to play it that way anyway. See, it's a skill that carries over even if it's a brand new tune. So I thought that would be really good to kind of work on tonight to get that started with everybody's arm. It's going to be ongoing because your rhythm, when you play a tune, your rhythm is first of all a very personal thing. Like when you listen to different players, they have different feels, you know, whether it's Winston or Michael Coleman, two completely very, very different feels, you know. Or if you go, you know, whoever you're talking about, that's what sets people apart from each other is their sense of rhythm. So for me, you know, I'm well known for playing right on top of the beat. And when I say that, I mean that I am like, there's 3 parts to the beat. They talk about this all the time. And it was interesting because I was teaching that classical guy today. And I said, hopefully you're one of the classical people that believes that there is 3 parts to the beat. And he said, yes, I am one of those classical people, because if you went deep into it, you know, the classical guys, they say there's only one part of the beat, and that's the middle, right? Being right on the metronome, completely on the metronome. That's the middle of the beat, okay? Playing behind the beat is when you wait till the last minute, okay? So it's a very relaxed kind of feel. I'll give you an example. So we'll talk about the swallowtail jig. Okay, here's playing it really relaxed behind the beat. Even if it's fast. Exaggerating that feel, and I can see that you guys are feeling it. Do you feel that bit of anticipation, like you want it to kind of move along a little bit? You're waiting and you want it to move, and that's the feeling created by playing behind the beat. So if you think about, say, reggae is 90% behind the beat. Wait until the last minute all the time. And it's a really nice way to do it. Like, I love playing behind the beat. Back when I was a drummer, I had to get good at playing on all parts of the beat because I played with anybody and for anybody. Could be anybody up there. And so I really enjoyed playing on the back of the beat. Now I'm going to show you the front of the beat. And that's what I'm usually doing on the fiddle. So you hear that little bit of urgency there, like it's coming now, the beat is now, you know? And so that's playing ahead of the beat, just a little bit before the beat. And then there's bang on. So I'll show you bang on now. So I'm going to put the metronome on because that's the best way for me to do it. So... You hear the difference there, eh? Okay, that's great. So that's the 3 parts of the beat, okay? Behind, in front, and right in the middle. And I gotta say, I don't know many people that play in the middle. I know very few people that play in the middle. Most people they lean one way or another. Luckily, the 2 guys in my band, they lean pretty well the same way as me. Except the piper, who takes forever to do everything. Because that's what pipers do. They take forever even to play one note. So much to prepare. And then they're usually not happy with that note once they've played it. But anyway, so I'm lucky in that way. They play it the same kind of thing as me, and so we have that same feel, and it's amplified with the 3 of us. See that? Sometimes it's not so good to get 2 people that play on different parts of the beat together. It just does not work out. And they usually don't get along either. Usually, you know? So anyway, so that's what sets people apart. That's one example of how a player can be set apart and how you make your own decisions with that, okay? Now, the jig rhythm. So I'm going to play the Cliffs of Moher there, and I'm going to play it with a really strong jig rhythm so you can see my right arm, Okay, can everybody see that right arm? Yeah. So that was kind of the strongest jig rhythm I could muster there. And if you were watching, you would notice that my arm moves twice per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And my hand flops out the rest as a result of that pendulum motion. See that? That's how you get the jig rhythm. And it's a nice natural movement, kind of like a dance, and that's why it creates such a natural rhythm that makes people want to dance. And certainly I saw all you guys bopping around like crazy when I was doing it. You can't help it, because it's like a direct connection, see? So check that out. Once, twice per measure. And my hand flops out the rest. See that? That's it. That's how you do it. That's how you do a jig rhythm. So if you're muscling it all, it's not quite going to be as natural. It's going to be a little bit stiff, a little bit forced. See that? So you want to use the muscles twice per measure, and everything else flops out naturally as a result, just like a drummer. You know, that's half the time what a drummer does.
We have to totally relearn our arm style.
I have an exercise. Yes, Pearl.
I was playing a jig with my classical friends, and they were doing all of that, and they're like, "Why am I so tired?" And I'm like, "Gee, I wonder why."
Absolutely. You make a great point, Pearl. Yeah, and that's the other thing about it, and I think that's why when you hear a stiff player that's got a stiff arm like that, you hear the tired. You know, you hear them losing steam, and the poor guys, like, of course they're losing steam, you know? And that's how, like, I play. You guys know, I play for a dance. It's 3.5 hours solid of playing. 3.5 hours of being at 120 beats per minute, you know? And the way that I do that is minimizing the amount of work. I use this flop to my advantage. I do the same thing with reels. Here's the pattern for reels. See that? I'm whipping that hand down for the down bow, and then it's coming up for me. It's doing that extra work for me, okay? Now, this is just the beginning of learning this rhythm, and it's not going to work right away. It's the type of thing you have to kind of hammer at, and that's why I have an exercise. Now, first of all, it's really good. The best way I find to work on jig rhythm is to take a jig that you already know to pieces. You know every note. You never doubt what comes next, because as soon as you stop your bow, rhythm practice is over. That's the problem when you're working on a feel. As soon as you have to stop and figure out the next note or anything like that, then the practice is over. So you either want to take a jig that you are not going to screw anything up, you let your arm just go on autopilot, or you do this little exercise that I've come up with. I call it the jig rhythm exercise. And it's where we go up a G scale. I'm going to use a G scale. You can play it in whatever key you want. But I find G is good because you use all 4 strings, gives you a nice long run at it. Okay? And so we play a triplet starting on each note of the scale. See how that works there? Very, very good and accessible way to do it. So Deborah, I'll show you. So we got, you take the first note of the scale, it's a G. So we're going to play a triplet starting on G. So that's G, A, B. Okay? Then you got the next note of the scale, which is an A. Now we're going to do the same thing except starting on an A. And then now we're going to start on the B. And now the C. Now the D. Now the E. Now the F. Now the G. All the way up. And I always go above the G. See that? Because if I start a triplet on the F, it goes all the way up to the A, and then I resolve on the G, and it's really nice. Okay, then we come down. Same thing. We start at the top of the scale, do the 3 notes starting on G, and then F, and then E, and then D. Now you would do one more, but we don't have an extra string. So we got to kind of do a little jiggy at the bottom, you know, to resolve it. Anything. It doesn't really matter what you do. Now, does everybody understand that pattern? And you were able to kind of do it? Yeah? Let's do it together. Don't worry about jig rhythm. We're just going to go through that pattern all the way up and down. But this time I will not take a break in between them. We'll connect them all up, okay? Ready, 2, 3. All right, now how did we do? Did anybody get lost or kinda? A little bit? Let's do it again right away.
Tell me, on the E string, what's the final, before you finish and go back down, what's the final run of notes?
1, 2, 3, 2.
Oh, okay, 1, 2, 3, 2, okay.
Yeah, so that's the other language. F, G, A, G.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions before we try it again? Let's do it. Okay, here we go. Ready to go. Getting lost somewhere, Deborah? Where it might be an open string. Many people skip the open strings, especially on the way down. Might be something like that. You want to try a bit of it for me? See if you got it. See if you got at least the template right.
Oh boy, I'm pretty slow at this stuff.
That's all right.
It's easy to get a PhD, I'm telling you.
And one more.
Wait.
Yep, that's good. Yeah, that's the bottom is a problem. So any way you stop it, it doesn't matter. But that's it. You got it. That was right.
Yeah, slow though.
That's okay. Slow is fine, and we're gonna speed it up gradually because you can loop this thing indefinitely. That's the good thing about it. You can just loop it, keep working on it. Anybody else having problems can't figure it out? Although Deborah didn't actually have a problem. It was fine. Anybody have any problems where they can't figure it out? Yes, Pearl.
I accidentally played the B twice when I was on the way down instead of playing the open A, and it threw me off, but I managed to like find myself on the D string.
Oh, good.
So it wasn't too big of a problem, but I think it's just I put my finger down and it wasn't supposed to be down and it threw me off a little bit.
Sure. It doesn't take much to throw off that left hand, eh? One little misstep and it's like, what the hell's going on? Anyway, so let's try this. We're going to play it again. This time, we're going to play a little faster. Okay? We're going to try it kind of like this. Kind of like, yumpy da diddle dee diddle dee diddle dee di. Okay? Now, if you want to begin your jig rhythm, this would be a good tempo to start the process. Just remember that the first note of each triplet is going to get all your bow. Okay? Yumpata. And then the next two notes are just very small bows. Okay, that's just focus on that. The down, yup, da, da, and the up. Hop, hip, da, hip, da, hip, da. Just focus on that for now. Okay, and we'll do it. Here we go. Hold on to your hats. Ready, and... Okay, now everybody was cheerily going along to that. Any problems? No? Let's do it again right away. Stacy had a boy about as big as mine going there by behind her there. Jeez, looks a lot like my boy. My God. They just keep growing and
He
asking...
just turned 13. He's as big as a Sasquatch, eh?
Wow. My boy's going to be 11 shortly. Okay, let's try it again there, guys. Same thing, the nice bows. That's the nice thing. I can watch everybody and you're doing it. Looks good. Ready to go. Oh, it's looking good, looking good. Let's do it again faster. That's your reward. It was so good, you got to do it again. Okay, now, ready, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Still unscathed?
Dan, I seem to be going to the long short kind of bowing. Is that the final outcome of this? Okay.
Yeah, it is. Now the tricky thing about jigs is that they're not actually longer notes, right?
No, yeah.
Yeah, so
But that's the bowing. It's like the big down bow, and then the two notes at the end of either the top or the bottom of the bow.
that's
Is that
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
And the challenge is to fit your full bow into that eighth note. And that's how the jig rhythm ends up coming out. See that? The distance covered gives you the big accent that you need to belt out that jig rhythm. Yeah. So have a mind to that because they're not actually longer notes, just longer bows.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Guess Pearl.
So for the rhythm, you're basically doing one really quick bow to give it more of an accent, and then two slower bows. It's just you're fitting the same note length into just a longer space.
Exactly right. Correctamundo. Yes, that's right. And that's what's tricky. You want to really try hard not to have it come out like this. Because that would be a different rhythm altogether. See what I mean? Yeah. So that's what's tricky about it. That seems to be the rub for most people, okay? Let's try it again. Very, very good points and good what do you call it? Insights, yeah. Same speed. Da-ka-dee, 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 da. 1, 2, 3, go! Feeling good? What happened, Deborah?
I can't do two things at the same time. I'm just too slow.
Like trying to figure out the pattern?
I'm trying to get the pattern, trying to get the jig, and it's throwing me off. I have to do quiet time on it.
Yeah, and that's what it's for. You will. It won't take you long to figure out that pattern, Just a little bit more going and it'll be under your fingers and then you'll be able to do it for sure. Okay? Let's have one more go, guys. One more go, I swear to God. Yes, Mel?
So we're not doing one long and two short. Is that what I'm taking away here?
You were doing a long bow and two short bows, but the notes are all hopefully the same length.
Okay.
Does that make sense? That, like I said, that's the hard part for most people. They're all eighth notes. They're all, if you looked at it written out, just like a jig, it's just a big string of eighth notes, but the first of each triplet, we're given the whole bow to get the accent out. Because that's how you create volume on the fiddle, is by speed of bow, distance covered on the bow, What?
So I'm doing the long bow really fast
Yes!
and the two short bows long.
Kinda.
Okay.
But that thing where you said the longbow really fast, I'm loving that. Do that.
Okay.
Okay? That's good. That is what we're doing. It's like, phew. See that? And the quicker you move that arm, the more bounce you're going to have with your hand to do those other two notes for you. Now, at that speed, some people here might have felt a little of the momentum coming into the hand. Did anybody feel that? Where the hand wanted to flop out? Oh, good. So, at this faster you get, the more you feel it, the more it's necessary it is, right? When you go really fast, you cannot possibly muscle all that. So it looks like this. Everybody seeing my hand there? The way I can still flick it and it still works? See that? Yeah. And you see how the arm movement is kind of slow and graceful, eh? It's this thing that's going crazy. Okay, so nice and loose. That's the other thing. Nice and loose with the wrist.
It's like trying to put a circle on your head and your stomach at the same time.
It really is. It is, especially since we just learned the pattern, you know? Anyway, one more go there, guys. I'm going to push you a tiny bit, and then we're going to see what we can do with the jigs, okay? One, two, three, go! Some of that worked, Deborah. I could tell. How's everybody else doing? How you feeling? Is it working a little bit? Yeah? A bit. It's okay. Okay, so now the jigs. So I can't remember how fast we were playing the jigs last going off. Let me think.
80, you said.
Oh, good. Geez, aren't I nice to give you a number? Okay, so let's see. Oh, perfect. Nice and very, very relaxed pace for a jig. So this might enable us to get some of this jig bowing that we're working on. So let's do it twice. We'll do this tune twice. And you're just going to really, really endeavor hard to get that rhythm happening with your right arm. If it goes away and it gets stiff, that's okay. Just wait for the next phrase to come along and have a renewed attempt. Okay? And relax. Above all, relax. I've never met a fiddle player that was high strung. I don't think it would work out. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put the metronome on, just so you guys know I'm not lying. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and... All right, now everybody was moving along nicely to that. Anybody having any problems at that tempo? No? That's
Just trying the jig style, what you just taught us, I am. I can't do
Oh yeah, it's gonna be. We only did it twice, so there's absolutely no chance that it would have worked in 2 times through the tune. But you know, it's the type of thing where the trying salts up. You know what I mean? Yes, Pearl.
So a lot of the jigs I've played, most of them I memorized, so it's kind of weird to attempt to do both at the same time. I feel like if I just memorize this, I can play it like really easily with the jig way.
Yeah.
Like all of the ones I play, like Traveler's Jig, all of that is memorized.
Oh, for sure. No, I mean, that's another thing is that whenever you're working on the feel, you have to take out all those variables that could get in the way, like anything like that, having to read it or, now we're going through the motions tonight, but it's just to show you how. And so if you took some of those tunes that you already know really well and try this jig rhythm, I bet you'd have really good results. And then you can come back to this, you know what I mean? Like I said, hopefully once you get this under your arm, it won't matter if it's the first time you're playing a tune or the 50th time, it'll still be there. That's the goal. Okay? All right, anybody else have anything they want to ask or say before we try it again? No? Okay, let's do it. 80, let's do 80 again. Because I felt like that went by in a shot 2 times through the tune. So let's do 80 again, and then I'm going to check in once more, and then we're going to go up. We're going to bump it up to 85 and see what happens. Okay? What's the worst that can happen, right?
Okay, stupid question.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm playing it, and I'm playing it fine. What's the name of the tune we're playing?
Oh, The Cliffs of Moher.
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
Glad to hear you're playing it without even knowing. That's awesome. It's a great sign. There's so many tunes like that. I played a tune the other day. I was a student wanted to learn it, and I was like, "Oh, that's a great tune," and I played it for them, and then I looked and I saw that I've never known the name of that particular tune. I've been playing it for like 10 years, never known the name. Anyway, there you go. Okay, let's try her again. Oh, I'm going to turn the metronome on once more. 1, 2, 3, and... Okay. Getting a little bit better? A bit? And like I said, you got to be patient with any kind of groove, I've learned many grooves in my life, whether it's on the fiddle or on the drums. And each one of them, it takes time. There's no way to speed it up except those few things that I showed you, like the scale exercise and being mindful of it. Otherwise, you just got to wait for it to come in. It's a combination of things, right? It's a combination of arm and hand and the rhythm, the overall rhythm, and it will come in, but just give it time. It salts up, okay? Now, yes, Susan.
Is that Lord somebody's thing from the Wednesday night group? Is that the same kind of thing?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a big...
It's a jig.
Yeah, so we can practice on that one as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Great one to practice it on. Very simple tune.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Pearl.
Is it like a good rule of thumb that almost any song, like a fiddle song in 6/8, is pretty good for a jig as long as it has the kind of style with the.
Yeah, and jigs are 6/8. That's what defines them.
Okay, because
yeah.
I confusing with hornpipes sometimes.
Hornpipes are in 4/4.
Yeah, and then the reels are usually in 4/4, but I have a reel that's in 2/2, which is basically the same thing.
And even though reels are written out in 4/4, they are cut time. They're a two feel. You know, it's you're like when I tap my foot with a reel. You can't see my foot right now, but you can hear it. It's twice per measure. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it really is a two feel. Same as a jig. A jig is the same. It's a two feel. 1 2 1 2 1 2. So in the old days, for instance, they used to write reels out in 2/4 time, all 16th notes. And where there would be a quarter note, it would be an eighth note. And it's because they used to have to, I'll show you. And this is a great book, by the way. 1,000 Fiddle Tunes. Okay? This is a really, really good book. You can still get it. I think it's called Ryan's Mammoth Collection now or something like that. Or 1001. Or 1050. Anyway, it's had different editions over the years. But it came out a long time ago, like late 1800s. And check out how many tunes they fit onto a page. See that? Because of the old typesetting back in the old days, eh? They were trying to get their money's worth. And so as a result, you can see here, the ivy leaf, for instance, is written out in 16th notes. Those are 16th notes. And it's because that way they can get the whole A part into one line. See that?
It's worse than Sandy's book.
Yeah, well, some of these are in Sandy's book because everybody
Okay,
used the
that's
same
right.
book. Yeah, everybody used the same book, 1,000 Fiddle Tunes. Like, and the nice thing about this book is that like Pearl was talking about the old time Ontario tradition. All those tunes come out of this book as well. So this book has the Scotch stuff, the Irish stuff, and that stuff. It's a really good resource. We've all used it. But so that's just an example of how they did that, eh? And that's why when you start looking at versions of tunes, it can be very confusing, actually. It can end up being really confusing. And I always found those 16th note reels really hard to read. Really hard. All those slashes. It's like, oh, baffling. Okay?
I need a
Anyway,
magnifying glass to see it.
what's that?
I would need a magnifying glass to read that book.
It is like that. My dad used to blow them up on the photocopier, eh? He used to make them bigger and paste them into the books for us. But anyway, so that's the difference between a jig and reel is the time signature. Jigs are always in 6/8. That's what makes them a jig. Reels are always in 4/4 unless they're written out in 2/4 or 2/2, like Pearl was saying there, which is basically just cut time. The difference between a hornpipe and a reel is the feel. Okay? Reels are a straight ahead eighth note feel. Yakka ducka deedle ducka deedle ducka deedle ducka deedle ducka deedle duck. Whereas hornpipes are swung. Deedle deedle dumpa deepy deedle deedle duppy deedle da dumpy deedle duppa. Kind of like that. See, that's the difference there. Anyway, let's stick with jigs. So now, we're going to crank up the tempo a little bit, guys. 84. Yumpy dee daddle dee duppy dee daddle dee da da da. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and. Uh, Okay, sorry to spring the Mugga Brown Ale on you, but thought I might as well just kind of hook into it, you know, as it were. So how did everybody do with all that then at 84? Seemed doable. Nobody seemed to be having any big problems. Okay, let's go up then. Let's go up to 90. Well, not 90, 88. I was putting things up by 5 notches at a time, and the wife was like, that's not a good idea. You should go by 2s or 4s. And she knows a lot more than me. She's got 3 degrees. I usually listen to her about stuff like that right away. For most things, really. Okay, so 88. Doesn't seem that much different, does it, really? Both of them. We're doing both of them. Cliffs of Moher and then the Mugga Brown Ale. Okay, and then we'll have a little roll-out breaky break. Okay. Okay, so this is just going to push a little bit. It's not much different. 1, 2, 3, and... How did we do at 88? Expo 88. Not too bad. Was it doable? I mean, nobody stopped, really. Somebody had to go do something.
It fell off the train.
It fell off the train. Did you get back on the tracks, though? Kinda. My grandfather used to, my mom's father used to ride the rails because he was a carpenter. And back in those days, most men had to travel to work. So he went down to New York, actually. And he worked on skyscrapers in New York. And he used to ride the rails to get down there and ride the rails to get home. My mom used to tell me about that, and I couldn't believe it, you know. Like, and the train used to go right through my backyard, right down here, where the train went. And it would go by, and I had dreams of jumping on it. Like, I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And my friend Otis, who makes violins and mandolins back in Cape Breton, he makes beautiful instruments. He's an amazing guy, all his own design and everything. But he told me this story because he's a hippie draft dodger. That's why he moved to Canada to dodge the draft for Vietnam, and he's still here. And anyway, so he was traveling around the country, and he was doing a bit of rail riding, and he was hitchhiking outside. Was it Wawa? You know, in Ontario there. Not much going on, eh? Like not, and so he goes to, and this is the late 60s, so he goes out to the road to hitchhike, and there's a great big mob of people hitchhiking, you know? So that's the way it was in those days. And he goes to the guy at the front of the line, and he says, "How long you been waiting, man?" And he goes, 2 days. It's like, oh my God, jeez. So then he finds the rail yard, which is in Thunder Bay. Yeah, he makes his way to Thunder Bay, and he gets to the rail yard there. And he finds a train. Somebody says that it's heading west, and that's where he's going. So he gets on the train car, in the box car, and it's a grain train. So there's all these bags of grain. It's actually quite comfy. And he's there with his banjo in one hand and a little white dog that traveled with him. And he said that they're going across and they're starting to pick up speed, and it's just gorgeous, eh? Like, it's beautiful. I love the train. And the scenery's going by, and it's just beautiful, and he's settling in. And then his little white dog goes up to the door and jumps out of the train. And Otis is an animal lover, and he's telling me the story, and he goes, and you know, I had to go with him. So he jumped off the train too, just as they were like picking up speed. And he broke the headstock off of his banjo, and he busted his knee, and still never found the dog. Anyway, there you go. Okay, so now that I've distracted you, let's have one more crack at the jigs, okay? Because these are speed trials. Half of the reason we're doing this repetition is to give you more cracks at that jig rhythm, okay? And the faster we go, believe it or not, the easier it's going to get, okay? Believe it or not. So now I'm going to up us to 92. Now, like, you know, it doesn't sound that much different, really. Okay, one more go with this set, guys. And then we'll talk about reels and how to prepare for next week. Okay, one more go. 1, 2, 3, and... again, I didn't see much frustration or gnashing of teeth or rending of garments, so it couldn't have gone too badly. How's everybody feeling about 92? Okay, we'll take that.
No, they say there's strength in numbers. So you can hide a lot, right?
You can. Yes, that's right. Yeah. So, no, but that's really good. Like, I was watching everybody's bow. I mean, you know, I didn't see a gigantic amount of the jig rhythm, I have to say, but that's to be expected, you know? It's multiple attempts is the only way to get this groove, and so it's okay if you don't get it every time. Like, you just let it salt up. And if you ever have doubts about it, you go back to your pattern, the scale pattern, go nice and slow, and just look in the mirror or in your Zoom window or whatever you're using and just see that big arm movement. Just watch for that big arm movement. If you're doing it, then it's working, okay? So you go back to that, and when you start to feel okay with that, try your jigs again, okay? And like I said, it doesn't have to be this set. It could be whatever jigs you're really familiar and comfortable with, because once you get it, it won't matter what jig you're playing. Is there any questions or problems? The nice thing is I recorded all this. So you guys now have a go at 80, a go at 84, another one at 88, and another one at 92 to play along with. And I had the metronome going the whole time, so you can be sure that it's all solidly in time. Okay, and I encourage you to do that. It's the best way to practice the groove. So is there any questions or problems with jig rhythm, those jigs, how to practice it, or anything at all in life? Yes, Stacy.
I was just wondering if you know, is there any place where there's like accompaniment tracks? You know how there's like the place, the session that you can get the music? Is there a place where there's like accompaniment so you could even, I would buy them. I'd be happy to buy them. Like
You mean-
anywhere for any of these too?
You mean like audio tracks? Yeah. So first of all, amazingly, no, not that I know of. And it's too bad because when I was going to jazz school, like when I did my 2-year diploma in jazz studies, everybody was using these Music -1 tapes. Okay? It was a guy called Jamie Abersall, and he was a guitar player, and it was just the rhythm section. And so the rhythm section would play through all these jazz standards so that you could practice your saxophone or whatever, play the melody and solo along with these tracks. And they were really big. Everybody used them, like everybody. There is none for Irish and Scottish music. Nobody's done it. And I was in a Zoom call with me and the boys there a long time ago when the pandemic first started. And I was telling them about my work online and what I'm doing and stuff like that. And Brian, the guitar player, made the joke. He was like, Dan, do you think there's any call for me to do just the videos of just the backing? Only the backing. And we were like, oh, that's hilarious, you know. And then I said, actually, Brian, that's a really great idea. So I'm actually kind of thinking about it. You'd buy them. Yeah, you're not the only one. Like I'm strongly thinking about making Brian do that. Like to sit down and play backing to all this stuff so that you guys can play along with it. But I don't know of any right now. If you ever find any, let me know. Because it'd be really useful.
Yeah, sometimes I'll look up a tune on YouTube and I'll find somebody else that's playing it and I'll try to play along. But sometimes it's a different version or whatever, right? It'd be nice to have a consistent
Backing.
track. I would pay good money for that.
Oh, that's a
Tell
good
your friends.
point. Yeah, I'm going to try. He's a little bit lazy, though. I shouldn't say that. He's working his butt off right now. Yes, Pearl.
Sometimes on YouTube, if you look up like jig in G major, you can get like really basic ones that could apply to a lot of jigs in G. But they're not always the best quality, and sometimes they're just a kid in their basement that stole their stuff. And so it's not always the best. I usually have my friend on cello play a bass for me.
On cello, that's nice.
Yeah, it's a classical cellist that I know I'm going to go to school with.
You know what you should do, Pearl? You should get the Neil Gow book. Have you ever heard of Neil Gow?
I've heard of the name because I recognize some of his arrangements.
Yeah. So he was a tune composer back in the 1700s, and his brother Nathan played cello. And his brother Nathan was the one that actually wrote down all the music. And he wrote cello parts for all that old Scottish stuff. Is originally scored for fiddle and cello. That was the combo back in those days. And I'll tell you, my brother's also a cellist. He's actually an orchestral conductor now. He never plays the cello anymore. But when we were growing up, fiddle and cello, we did that all the time. Did that constantly.
I'll get my mom to join me. She plays the cello.
Oh man, you should get that Neil Gow book. And Nathaniel Gow also has a book, and he wrote beautiful tunes as well. So if you can get it, then you guys would have such fun because they're really nice arrangements. They're beautiful and they're old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dan, sometimes if you can get like amazing, there's slow downer apps. And so if you have a library of tunes that you've downloaded or from CDs, you can actually slow down the tunes so you can play with, it'd be like playing with Dan, but at whatever pace you choose.
Yeah, it's called the Amazing Slow Downer. And it's not the only one. There are many programs that slow down. The Amazing Slow Downer is the one that for most of the people that I've worked with over the years, that's the go-to. I've never used it. I've never had to slow anything down. And when I was going to jazz school, we used to have to make transcriptions of the solos. And I made a transcription of Tony Williams' solo and a Miles Davis tune. And we had to book time with the half-speed tape machine to slow anything down. And there was only one. So you had to go and put your name on, and you had a half hour, and you're like, oh my God. And that really kind of sucked because it would drop the pitch by half as well, because it literally did a slower motor on the tape. So you'd have to then transpose on top of what you were doing. So the Amazing Slow Downer, also, it does videos. That I didn't know that before. Somebody told me recently that it does videos too. You can slow down videos too. So it is a very good resource. The only thing is, though, I find that slowed down jigs and reels sound really weird. You know, when I have the jig rhythm going at full bore, and then you electronically slow that down, it sounds weird. Like it sounds not very much like what I do when I play it slow. Which
Somebody
is
told me there was an option on YouTube that you can slow stuff down too. I don't.
Oh,
know
really?
But I don't know if that's true. I've never tried to look for
I've
it.
never tried that either, but
There is. I think it's over on the side or something, and it'll say 1x, and then you can do 0.5 or, I mean, it gives you a limited range.
can you speed yourself up?
Yeah, you can speed up and slow down. It does change the pitch.
It changes the pitch. Now, the Amazing Slow Downer, another, like I said, I've never used it, but I've advertised it a lot. The other good thing about the Amazing Slow Downer, it does not change the pitch. So it slows down and speeds up, and it does not affect the pitch at all. So that's another advantage. But anyway, so there you go, guys. So you got some really good work to do here with the jig rhythm. Is there any other questions or things that you don't understand about how to do the jig rhythm or how to practice it? Anything at all? You got a good foundation now? You can work on it? That's great. If you get tired of G, you do that scale pattern in another key. You can do it in A. You can do it in D. If you're really brave, you can do it in a minor key. See that? So have some fun. See what you can get done there this week. And next week we'll see how you're getting along. Okay? Now, so that's jigs. So now let's talk just briefly about reels. Okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the scale pattern that I use to work on reels. I'm going to play a reel a couple of times at a full tempo so that you can hear the feel that we're going to look for with reels. Then I'm going to show you a scale pattern that I came up with to work on reels in a few different bowing approaches. Okay? And then next week we'll take that stuff and we'll apply it to a reel. Now I'm going to tell you right away that the feel for a reel, the reel feel, is harder to get for most people. You know, the big problem is that a reel is based on backbeat. Okay? So the emphasis for a reel is on beat 2 and beat 4 of the measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. See that? And so my foot does the downbeats. See that? And my bow arm does the backbeat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. See that? See that? It's basically rock and roll. Boom, boom, tap, boom, 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 tap, boom, 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 tap, boom, 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 tap. It's like Beatles music, you know, except 1700s or whatever. 1700s Beatles. I'm sure there was some. Anyway, so that's how you get a reel going. The problem with the backbeat is that, you know, for most what I call white people, it's really hard to even tap a backbeat. You know, most people can do it for about 2 measures, and then they turn around and they're on the downbeat. Okay, that's what's so hard about reels. That's why reels are usually the very last thing to kind of start working in terms of feel because of that. Okay, so I'm going to play a reel now, and I'm going to give you a really exaggerated backbeat feel so that you can really hear what's going on, and then I'm going to talk about how to work on it. Okay, so what reels have we done, guys? Like oh, the Drunken Landlady. Okay. See what I'm doing there? That's how you do a reel. And like I said, it's not the easiest thing in the world for most people to get that right away. So, the way that you can work on it, first of all, I always recommend at first just doing it on an open string. Okay? So check this out. And if you're able to do a double stop, it's even better, because it gives you really good practice. So I'm going to use the double stop. I'm going to play the A and D together. And check out my right hand there, guys. Down, up, 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 down. See that? Now let's try that together a little bit. Nice and easy. Just on the open strings. Down, up, down. Okay, ready? And... Okay, now visually, it's looking pretty good. People are looking like they're getting the idea. You see how we're still using the length of the bow for volume, eh? For the accent. Getting the whole bow in that same 8th note, okay? Now, do you getting that idea? Anybody having any problems? Let's go a little faster. Same thing, just the open strings. Yes, Deb?
But I thought you said it was on beat 2 and 4 was the backbeat, but
Yeah.
we're only getting one of them.
One,
One.
no, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and.
One and one and one and
2.
one and 2 and 3 and
4.
Got
Yes,
it.
that is
Okay.
correct. Okay, let's all do that. 1, 2, 3, go! Little faster. Okay, not bad. Now I know I sped you up pretty good there, but it's just to show you. And are you starting to feel it? You starting to get that feel, kind of. Yeah. Once you get the idea, oh man, you're doing it all the time. Feels so good. It gets the groove going right away. Okay. Now, let's talk about a pattern, a practicing pattern. Okay, this will be the last thing I show you, because it's kind of a little bit complicated. So when I work on reels, I do a scale pattern again. But this time it's a 4-note grouping instead of a 3-note grouping, okay? So basically, I play the first 3 notes of the scale. I'm going to do G again. So I go G, A, B, and then I go back and play G again. See that? And then I do the same thing starting on the A. See that? And then the same on the B. With that big, see, like. That's how you put that pattern together. So again, each note of the scale, you're playing the note, next one, back to the note. And then you start it again on the next. Note, 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 back to the note. Okay, over and over. Now, I'm going to play that all the way through. You guys play along if you can. Just so that I can be there for the video, I'll play the whole thing in G. Then you come down to. And that's how you work on a reel. Okay? So that's the pattern. I don't have a name for it, the reel pattern or whatever. And there's 3 ways that you can bow it, okay, to give you the backbeat rhythm. You can bow it in the way that we did, which is straight bowing, which is actually kind of tricky. It's the best way to start because it's the least complicated, but it poses a bit of a problem because when I do that big backbeat accent, now I got to get back up to where I started with the bow without it being an accent. Okay? Because if it is, then the rhythm would change to yap-a-deedle, dip-a-deedle, dip-a-deedle. It would change to da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Not the same. See what I mean? So when I do that pattern there, I got to be really light on that up bow. I got to I take all the weight off of it and I spring back up to make as little volume, like just a little bit of volume, because I'm still covering the same amount of distance with my bow, but I'm trying not to let it be accented. See what I mean? So it is a little tricky. You hear how I'm kind of lightening up on that up bow so that it's not accented? You can hear it. I'm exaggerating it. And then you come down. Okay. Yes, Melanie.
So they're all individual bows.
Correct.
Strokes. You're not slurring anything together.
Not yet. That's going to be next.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So yeah, so that's what they call single bowed. So one bow per note. And that's what we do in Cape Breton. Okay, that's how we get the backbeat feel happening in Cape Breton, is single bowed. Okay, and that's why it has that jumpy feel in Cape Breton. It's so awesome. It's a little bit edgy and has that jump to it. Yes, Deborah.
Okay, please go a little slow, but I want to see the bowing, because it seems to me on the fourth note, if it's on the backbeat, it should be, but you're going up because it's 4 beats. 1, 2.
Oh,
3,
wait.
4.
No, 1 and. Remember, 1.
That's the 8. 1
yeah. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and
2 and 3 and 4. Okay.
yeah.
I got it. The and is the other.
The
okay,
and
I
is the
got it.
eighth note. That's how they count. That's how the classical people I know count eighth notes, is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then they count 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Anyway, that's the way it works. So yeah, so that's the bowing pattern for the Cape Breton style. Now, the Irish people, they take this whole backbeat thing to the extreme, like they do with many things. And they do everything in an up bow except the backbeat, okay? And they call that the longbow style. It comes from the west coast of Ireland. I'll show you how it works. I got a rosin this bow, just 1 sec. New strings require more rosin. Where is my rosin though? Somebody's stolen my rosin. And I don't know why they would, because I'm the only fiddle player in this house. Okay, I don't know where it is. Sorry about that. A little scratchy right now, but I'll show you anyway. So, watch this. This is the longbow style. See that? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 1. See how that works? I can't count while I'm playing. I thought I could. It was desperate. But anyway, so up, up, down, up, 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 down, up, 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 down, up, 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 down. That's how the Irish longbow style works. I'm going to do the whole pattern in Irish longbow style, so that you guys could have it to refer to, okay? And if you want to try to play along, please go ahead. So remember now, the thing is about longbow is that it's 2 in the up bow to start with, and then after that, it's 3 in the up bow because you're joining it up with the next measure, okay? Watch what I mean. That's the Irish longbow style. And again, when you go fast, it makes a little more sense. And that doesn't that give it the Irish flavor right away? That continuous kind of idea of sound that
I
they
find it
have.
a lot easier to do.
Well, it is. Now, the nice thing about longbow is that it forces the backbeat. If you follow that bowing pattern, you'll have a backbeat, whether you want it or not. So it really does get it under the arm. For a lot of people, it's the only way to get it under the arm. Now, nobody ever does single bow right through a whole reel. Nobody ever does longbow right through a whole reel. Most of us do a bit of both. And so that's the third way to do the scale pattern, is alternating. See how that works there? And when I get going, you can really hear the advantage. You hear that? You hear how it just comes out nicely and smoothly like that? So anyway, those are the 3 ways to achieve the real rhythm, okay? And so basically for this week, all you guys should do is practice the open string. And that's about, and the scale pattern. Because if you could get it under your fingers, then next time we'll play with that bowing. We'll really work with those 3 different ways of bowing it and get it working. But you need to learn the pattern first. So if you worked on that pattern this week and got it under your fingers, and I'll try to write it out if I can, then next week we'll really get the bowing in there, okay? And in terms of the jigs, go back and go through those jigs at those 3 different tempos that we worked at. With that and the scale pattern and everything, all that stuff, and then we'll see how everybody's getting along with the jig rhythm next week. You know, it is a little bit more forgiving, a little bit more accessible. So I have a feeling that most of you guys are going to have a pretty good result this week, and we can expand on it next week and get into the reels. Okay, does that sound like a good plan? All right, cool. Any questions or comments or concerns or complaints?
This is about something else. Just to let people know that the Ashokan people, Jay and Molly Unger, are hosting the Scottish people this weekend for a workshop that you $35 to $100. You pay whatever you want, from between $35 and $100. It's for the whole weekend, and it's going to be Alistair Fraser, Natalie Haas, Evan Ray, and Donald Sheets.
Wow, lovely.
Yeah, and they do a really nice job.
Oh, I bet, of course. Yeah, I mean, Alistair's been teaching for like 30 years. You know, him and my dad used to judge fiddle competitions down in the States together. That's how they met, you know. I remember when he first met him, they were judging together in Vermont, a place in Vermont, and they came back and I said, geez, Dad, Alistair Fraser, like, how is he? What's he like? And Dad said, he's very nice, but I'm going to tell you, when that fella wears the kilt, it's ruffles down to here.
No, well, the nice thing about this is that you don't actually have to go to the Ashokan Center, which is nice, but it's Tick Central.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's upstate New York.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so that's great. That would be a great resource for sure. I would tune into that if I were you, for sure. Anything else? Anything? That's it? Okay. So you got lots to practice, guys. Don't get discouraged. Thanks a million, and we'll see you next Thursday. Okay?
Thank you. Good night,
Thanks a lot.
everybody.
Nighty night.